Good morning, everyone. It's an absolutely beautiful day. There's not a cloud in the sky. The sun is shining. You can tell that summer is almost here. So I decided to step out of the studio and out onto the sunny turf. All right, I'm gonna keep things simple today. It's gonna be short and sweet. 4 exercises that involve rotator cuff, shoulder, lats, serratus, all of the muscles of the abdominal wall, and of course, the traps. A lot of you have asked how I get big traps. It's a combination of genetics, deadlifting, and of course, shrugs. Okay, for this 4 exercise circuit, you will need 2 sets of dumbbells and potentially some lifting straps. The first 2 exercises are performed with light dumbbells. The second 2 are performed with heavy dumbbells. Okay, let's get started. First 2 exercises I'm gonna do with 15-pound dumbbells. Choose a weight that is appropriate for you. You may be able to use the same weight, you may be able to use heavier, and you may need to go lighter. The first exercise is the high external rotation. And what we do with this exercise is we get our elbows at about 90 degrees, and I have the weights positioned about mid-chest level. Slowly, using your rotator cuff, you'll rotate your arms backwards. So if you take a look behind, you'll see all of the muscles that activate when I do this exercise. The elbow stays in the exact same position and doesn't move. I'm basically just hinging and rotating backwards using all of the muscles in the rotator cuff. From the side, you can see that my elbows are slightly behind my shoulders. My core is engaged, nice and tight, chin nice and high. I want to rotate back, and when I do, I can push my chest forward and pull my shoulder blades back. Then I can rotate the elbows forward and then return to the high position. The key here is not to over-rotate and come all the way down, all the way up. Key is control and contraction. Once you perform 15 repetitions of the high external rotation, you'll move immediately into lateral shoulder raises. And with the lateral shoulder raise, at this point, your shoulders should be nice and fatigued, and you will feel the contraction as soon as you start. Now you notice I'm stopping a little bit below shoulder level. I'm not coming all the way up here, and I'm not coming too low. Now if I come all the way down to the bottom, you can see that my shoulder's just relaxed. So I want to keep some tension on it, and I typically like to go about 4 to 6 inches away from my hips, and that way I stay under constant tension. So if you take a look at it from the side, I've got the slightly bent elbows, nice tight abs, and I'm squeezing extra tight in the shoulders. I'm making sure that they don't round forward. I'm making sure that I don't have them pulled all the way back. I have a nice neutral position, nice high chin position, and that way I get a great contraction. Now, if you take a look from behind, you will also see that there is engagement in the rear part of the shoulder, just a tiny bit, and certainly in the traps as I fatigue, and in the upper back muscles. The rep goal with the lateral dumbbell raise is 15 to 20 reps. If you get to 15 and you still feel good, I want you to go all the way to 20. You'll feel a nice tight burn, shoulders are gonna be on fire. Then I want you to move to our next exercise, the dumbbell pullover. All right guys, before I get started, this is really important. I wanna say a special thank you to Transparent Labs for sponsoring these videos. Without their help, none of these videos would most likely be possible. They take forever to edit, they take forever to film. I get paid pennies on the dollar for it. I can't make a living off of just making these videos. So without their help, none of these videos would be possible. So I really pay attention to the ingredients that go into my supplements, the supplements that I put in my body. No artificial sweeteners, flavors, colors, fillers. This is probably the best tasting stuff on the planet. So give it a look. These are my top 4 supplements. Let's go right down the line. The staple of my supplement regimen, 100% grass-fed whey protein isolate. Bulk pre-workout, gives me a blast when I need it before a workout. Creatine HMB, I put it in my protein within 30 minutes of my workout, and of course BCAA with glutamine, and I take that throughout my morning as well. Check them out, guys. Link is in the description. So a couple of quick tips before you start to know exactly what muscle groups are engaging. When I start this exercise, I make sure that my core, my abs are fully engaged. I then think about keeping weight as I bring the dumbbell back on the lats. Now the triceps will also take tension because the elbow is slightly bent, so I'm hanging the majority of the weight on the descent, on my abdominals, on my lats, and of course on my triceps. I'm pretending like I have a glass table behind me and I want to place that dumbbell on that table, getting as much range as I can with my shoulder flexibility. So your distance or depth back will depend on your shoulder mobility and of course your strength. On the ascent or on the way up, that's the position from when the dumbbell is at its furthest point all the way back to when it's on top of you. You want to engage the lats, the triceps, and then finish with the chest once the dumbbell passes over the forehead. So when the dumbbell passes over the forehead, I'm squeezing my chest as tight as I can. That way, I get more benefit. So it's not just lats and triceps and abs, it's also chest as well. Hand position, I like to take a triangle position underneath the dumbbell. One hand is below, one hand is on top. The hand that's on the bottom will travel further than the hand that's on the top. So I want you to make sure that you alternate hand position. So if I have my right hand on the bottom, second set, I want my right hand on the top. It's important for symmetry. If my bottom hand travels further, I'll get more mobility on my right side. If I don't switch, I'll have less mobility on my left side. So you want to make sure that you keep things even. All right, let's get into position. Let me show you exactly what it looks like. This dumbbell can tip over. So as I shift, you'll see that dumbbell can move. Make sure that you keep one hand on the dumbbell as you get into position. I've got my abdominals nice and tight. As I shift forward, one hand on the top, then my left hand goes underneath into that top triangle position. My head is positioned on the bench. I see a lot of people with their head off the bench. Try to keep your head supported. It's better in the long run. So I've got my shoulders supported, my head supported. I reach over with my right hand, and using my triceps, my core, my chest, and my shoulders, I take the dumbbell and bring it right over my shin. I've got a solid grip with my fingers. Slowly from this position, with what I told you before, I engage my abdominals, my lats, and of course my triceps isometrically as far back as I can, and then pull forward and squeeze the chest right here. Okay, so in real time, big deep breath. And blow the air out as you come up. Big deep breath. I can drop my hips a little too if I want. And blow out as I come up. To dismount, you want to take the weight right back to the side where you had it. Hold on to it. Slowly shift up. And you're perfect and good to go. So dropping the hips creates a little bit more space and more stretch in the abdominals. So if you want to play around with dipping the hips as you bring the dumbbell back and then raising the hips to neutral position as you come forward, that's another great alternative. You can keep the hips neutral the entire exercise. You will certainly feel abdominals. You won't feel as much stretch as you would if you dipped the hips. Both positions work great. Play around with it. See what works best for you. Okay, last but not least, traps, the dumbbell shrug. These are the lifting straps that I told you you might need, especially if your grip tends to go during a workout. Typically, your traps are a lot stronger than your fingers, so it is beneficial to use lifting straps, especially as the weight gets heavier. So a nice neutral position, chin nice and high. I like to have a slight lean forward. So I shift my weight forward a tiny, tiny bit with the dumbbells in hand, and then slowly I take my shoulders and I try to bring them up towards my ears. So you'll see here, I'm not rounded, I'm not pulled back. They're in a neutral position towards my ears from the front. You'll see it looks like this. We call it the I don't know exercise. Someone says, what's 2 + 2? You go, I don't know. So think about, I don't know. Shrugging your shoulders, I don't know. And you want to make sure that, again, with all of these exercises, make mind-body connection. So think about the muscles that you want to work. I'm completely focusing on my traps, blowing them up while I'm doing this exercise, and it makes the results better. All right, I'm gonna grab my 90-pound dumbbells and I'm gonna show you exactly what it looks like. Okay, so I've got my dumbbells from the front. I've got my core engaged, shoulders in a nice neutral position. I have the dumbbell slightly off my body with my arms fully extended. So I don't want to pull up with my arms because I'm not going to target my traps. So arms fully extended. I'm going to squeeze up as high as I can. 1, 2. Release gently back to that neutral position. If I want more of a stretch, I can stretch down a tiny bit more and then get a big, big pull. So I don't want the dumbbells resting on my body and having a surface to press off of. I want them off the body and all the tension in my traps. So again, from the side, I've got nice neutral position, shrug up towards the ears and back down. My core is still tight, abs still tight, up towards the ears and back down. You can go with a slightly Faster motion if you want. Slow and controlled with full contraction tends to work best. So I typically like to keep my shrug volume high, typically anywhere between 15 and 25 reps per set of shrugs. So I want you to perform all 4 exercises as a circuit. That means back to back to back to back with minimal rest, as little rest as possible in between sets. Once you finish all 4 exercises, you'll then rest 2 to 3 minutes and repeat the entire sequence anywhere between 3 and 5 times. Typically 3 for beginner, 4 for intermediate, and certainly 5 for expert level fitness. Okay, if you made it this far, please subscribe to my channel. It helps me out a ton. You get free content, win-win for everyone. If you enjoyed this workout and you did it, leave me some comments below. I'd love to see who attempted it and how you felt. I look forward to seeing you all the next time. Let's go.